Hey guys, Grumpy here with episode 28 of our Zero to Hero Let's Play as Mercury Guy. So in the previous episode, we tried combat in a couple of different ships to middling levels of success. The biggest fail was probably trying to pilot the strike. I rewatched the tape and the episode, and it was a struggle to say the least. I am still trying to get my bearings. The problem was that I was flying with the default command with the default strafe, and in my mind I've already forgotten those commands or that kind of piloting. So that mixed with an omnidirectional ship means that who knows where my blasters would be pointed. Anyway, something I'm gonna do at the top of the episode is I'm gonna go ahead and drop off the ships that I'm lugging around. I noticed that I was carrying a Conquest, a Dominator, a Starliner. That's all contributing to the supply use per day. Yeah, so let's go ahead and fix that. And then now that our relations are back up, well, at least with the Persians, we can do one of two things. We can either start to become friendly with the hedge, which I believe, if I check hostilities. Okay, yeah, Triattack and the hedge are going at war, so we don't have to worry about that. So the next thing we're gonna focus on is exploration. The reason we want to explore is because we want to start finding blueprints for our colonies, so that we can start making the most out of them when they get their orbital works or the heavy industry and orbital works online. Looks like there's a sensor ghost there. Yeah. Also, exploration can be very profitable. So that is something to consider. Alright. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm gonna make Wraith the capital world. It's where I'm gonna store all my ships and my armory, just because gas giants get their own gravity well. So when I click on the gravity well in hyperspace, I'll always end up near the planet, versus using one of these fringe points and having to fly um, to one of the worlds. All right, so we go ahead and drop off all. Oh, hit the storage. Go ahead, drop that off. We will keep metals with us, as well as the transphotonics. Alright, let's drop off the Conquest, the Dominator, the Starliner, the Enforcer. We can go ahead and put back some crew. We can put back a lot more crew than that. I think the largest planet to survey is gonna be three. No, I think it's 400 crew to perform the largest survey. So having 1,000 should be more than enough. We have our atlases with us. We're gonna go ahead and refit them. Instead of high-res sensors, we're gonna go switch back to survey equipment. And then let's go ahead and save this as survey. Alright. Okay, I guess I just didn't click it. We don't need auxiliary fuel tanks anymore. Instead, we can just go ahead and switch this also over to survey equipment. These have high-res sensors. We can swap that out. Okay. Yeah, we no longer need the sensor range. Let's repair our brawler. And then how much are you to repair? 170k is a bit much. But this is a fleet we're going to take exploring. It's a very efficient fleet. We've demonstrated why. obviously in combat. The only thing I'm thinking about is changing this. Yeah. We'll name this heron variation as bomber. Oh, we do have it. Okay. Yeah, so we do have a variation. This one's called pirate. But instead of a heavy autocannon, we're gonna go with a harpoon. And we're gonna save that. Hit cancel. And then we'll auto fit this one for pirate as well. What is going on? I just must not have them. Okay. Well, it's fine. This heron is gonna be under equipped, but it's okay. We should have run into too many threats while we're exploring. This fleet, as it is, can take on most bounty fleets that surprise us. So either way, we should be fine. Having the piranha bombers is less than ideal. Let's see if we can grab better fighters. Let's grab broadswords for kinetic pressure, and then just 2 sets of talons. And we'll upgrade all of these to long range PD. And then we'll put, I guess a heavy autocannon is fine. We don't need extended shields when we can go for shield conversion in front to give us the 360 arc and cut our shield cost in half. Same thing over here. We'll go for shield conversion front. Nice. Alright. So to continue our exploration, we're gonna go in that same clockwise direction, so going over to the planets that are closest to us and then moving around the galaxy. Sweeping everything that's nearby first, looking mostly for gates to be honest. But sweeping everything that's nearby and then doing a larger sweep once we have the gates established, because it'll be easier to jump out to those systems. Alright, so first things first, we'll save this group for last. This is a nice cluster. I'd be interested to see what's going on there. Alright, so let's begin. Actually, let's begin closer in. Why not? A few things we need to grab though before. Oh yeah, you can get missions on your own colonies, which is really good. Each planet has its own set of missions. But some things that we need to grab before we go exploring is volatiles if we have any. Nope, we don't. Nope, we don't. Okay. That's fine. Alright, let's set off exploring. Now, I won't show every single system that I colonize. A lot of this will be done off screen. We'll go do that on the stream. But I do want to show just a couple of systems off, and then obviously if I find anything spectacular, like any domain artifacts, any interesting fights, then I'll go ahead and show that for the series. That way it stays entertaining, and you're not bogged down seeing the same thing. Nice. Okay. So we are suspicious with them, which is fantastic. That means that we can trade with the hedge. Let's go ahead and perform our survey. Again, we stacked all those sensor or salvage perks so that we can reduce the cost for surveying, so it only consumes 5 heavy machinery. And this one takes 90 crew. Okay, decent world. I guess I should evaluate planets while I'm doing this. This is an okay world. I wouldn't necessarily settle here because it has thin atmosphere, and we want the no atmosphere affix on the planet. No atmosphere allows you to really make the most of these volcanic and rocky worlds, in that you can use domain artifacts that will boost its production to make it very profitable. Again, and it also has hot instead of extreme heat, which will reduce the fleet capacity that you get. This will make sense as we find domain artifacts, but this is just a rough evaluation of this planet. It's okay, it's decent. I would consider settling in this system because there are so many planets. Well, never mind. Uh, I saw the number of suns, so I assumed there was a lot of planets. I would probably not settle here. Yeah, there are three of the same. No, desert, barren, barren. Yeah. Uh, the the desert and barren worlds are pretty much the same worlds, so like you can't get volatiles here. So I would not settle in this system. But this planet by itself is just not really a good pick. So I would consider it if there were other good planets in the system, but there's not, so it definitely is a no-go. This planet has no atmosphere and extreme cold. Okay, extreme cold is really good. Alright, and it doesn't have any like resources to speak of. Ore is extremely common in this game, so even if you find a planet with +3 ores, it's still probably nothing to write home about. Alright, let's do a little exploration. Ooh, we get a Phaeton. It's interesting. Ah, decivilized. Nice. Okay. So I was told that I haven't tried this yet, but you can get rid of the decivilized perk by settling a colony and then abandoning the colony and then resettling it. So if you do find a world that you are interested in, try that out. Let me know in the comments if that works for you or if you've done it personally. I will probably try it at some point, but so far I haven't found a decivilized world that I want to colonize also, so I haven't had to deal with it personally. As far as the resources go, again, just ore. This is not a good world. It does have extensive ruins, so we can go ahead and explore that. Alright, these are the factors that contribute to how many resources you get. Something important to know is that this does not affect rare resources, so things like blueprints, mod specs, domain artifacts are not increased by this resource recovery effectiveness. You'll just get the flat amount that you were gonna get. Alright, so we begin salvage. Wow. That's a lot of harvested organs. Nice, okay. So here we have the corrupted nanoforge, one of the better domain artifacts. This is what I was talking about. So these will augment your planet. They'll augment your industries when you install them on worlds, and they'll have a pretty significant boon, but usually at the cost of like a strict restriction. So here, the corrupted nanoforge, the first two paragraphs are like just flavor text telling you about the item, and then the last paragraph is it tells you how it modifies your colony. So it increases ship and weapon production quality by 20%. What ship and weapon quality are, that affects the D mods that you get on your ships. So when you print a ship, when you produce a ship at a colony, we'll go over this later, but there's a certain amount of ship quality that you need at a minimum in order to guarantee that when you produce a ship, it doesn't come with any D mods. If it's lower than that threshold, then you run the risk of running, I think it's up to 5 D mods when you produce a ship, and that's fleet wide. So your colonies, they produce ships constantly to feed like trade and security and patrolling and exploration. So all these ships in your fleets, in your colonies fleets, are gonna have D mods on them. So you want to get your ship and weapon quality up as high as possible. Alright, I believe that number is 120%, but I would have to double check that. Okay, cool. So in the The corrupted nanoforge is one of the better domain artifacts that you can find, so it's really good. All right, we got a Phaeton here. Go ahead and salvage it. Alright. Oh, also, I don't know if I covered this, but you can tell if a planet has ruins if there's like kind of this debris, this detritus around the planet. The more of that you see, the larger the ruins will be. Okay, what was this? It was a vigilance? Alright. Let's go on to the next world. I really like the exploration in this game. It's very straightforward. It's very soothing. Would not be a good world. Sparse resources on both is really bad, and then it does have no atmosphere, so you could settle this world. But this would be kind of um, like a post colonization stage. So once you're in expansion, after you have about like 5 or 6 solid colonies, you would start looking for worlds that are decent enough to colonize that give you other benefits. So like if there was a gate in this system, then I would consider this world for colonization. Because it has no atmosphere, we can still work with this planet. And it's cold, so we can use another domain artifact. I forget which one requires cold. I think it's cryo-arithmetic engine. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I know one modifier or one domain artifact requires cold environments. So this would be an okay world. Again, we're not going to settle in the system because it doesn't provide anything to us, but if this would definitely not be in my top 5 or 6 colonies, this would be like a post colonization kind of planet to consider. Now, I was told that you can rotate these planets. You can. Oh wow. If you hold down the right mouse button, you can rotate these planets. Today I learned. Alright, cool. Okay. There are 3 stable locations, which is nice. But again, ultimately nothing worthwhile in this system. So we move on. These are domain art? Yeah. Those are remnant fleets. Oh, hello. Scavenger, return to Echo Breeze. Okay, well, I mean, you do have a Fury and a Strike, so it is unfortunate that we met this way, but I'm gonna have to claim those from you. Good sir. Alright, nothing particularly threatening. In fact, I think we can just get away with only using a few ships. We'll stick to the brawler with this one. We'll go ahead with 1 monitor, we'll bring in an eradicator, and then we'll bring in the Heron with the bombers. Alright. Alright, we'll just push forward into this vigilance. Oh. Okay, yeah, our controls are set. We'll set the monitor to go after the eradicator, and we'll give the Heron the... We'll give it the command to also deploy on the Fury. And we'll have the Strike go fight the other Strike. You can pick your own targets. Alright. let's check in on our fleet. Monitor's doing fantastic. Not so sure what the Heron is doing. Okay, no, the Heron's participating. Let's get the Omens to go after. Oh, well, I guess the Strike is already on it. We'll get the Omens to go after the Fury. Hopefully they can disable some of the weapon systems. And then we'll just move in to finish it off. While we can, let's pick off that Vigilance. And this is a really great thing. The Sabos carry EMP damage, so if you ever find yourself behind a ship, feel free to use your Sabos to knock their engines offline. Well, we flamed it out, and it exploded before that became relevant. But that is a really good tip. I would like these salvage rigs. Yeah. Okay. We don't really have a reason to pursue them, so we'll go ahead and let them go. And we're really hoping for the Fury and the Strike here. And we get the Brawler. But we do get the Fury. The Fury is definitely worth a story point, so we'll go ahead and spend 1 on that. I'm not gonna spend a point on the Strike. Okay. And for 3 out of our 57 reputation, I think that's a fair trade. Alright, let's go ahead and claim all. Yeah, especially considering we just got refunded that point anyway. I mean, when it rains, it pours. So similar setup. The biggest threat is the Fury. But as long as we can jam a monitor in its face, that should be no problem. Something to consider there are a lot more fighters in this group, so we do have to be careful of that, as well as a couple of phase ships. Okay. So let's go ahead and move into engage. Oh, we're getting the big map here. All right, so we will deploy both monitors. I don't think we need a second Heron. Why? The supply cost. The supply cost is so insignificant. We might as well deploy all. It's better to overkill is better than it's better to be safe than sorry. Overkill is the best kill because in this game, battles are not fair. The person with the initiative usually wins, so the person that kills the most ships first gains an unfair advantage because each ship that you remove from the battlefield represents, like, you know, anywhere from, on small engagements, if there are 4 ships and you remove 1, then you remove a quarter of the enemy's, like, firepower. In bigger fights, say there's like 10 ships. If you remove a ship, you remove 1/10 of the firepower from the enemy. So there's definitely like a reason to bring more ships than are necessary to a fight. Even if you think you can win a smaller fight, just deploy everybody. Alright. It also affords you the opportunity to like flank individual ships the more ships you have. I've developed like a bad habit of under deploying to try to introduce like increased difficulty to certain fights when this game does not require that in the slightest. Alright, let's go ahead and get rid of this venture, or vigilance rather. Let's grab the monitor. Let's tell the strikes to go after the... I don't want to deploy them too far forward, actually. I think they'll be... Oh, well. I think they'll be alright. This one is almost fluxed out entirely. I think that's just because of the sabos, though. So let's go ahead and head over there. We'll grab this monitor and we'll send it forward so that it can start harassing the rest of the enemy fleet. Let's figure out what's going on here. Alright, so now that we know where everything is, let's grab the strikes. We'll pull them this way. We'll use the engage order so they can be a little more cautious. And we'll use the engage order on the other carrier. And we'll sign the strikes to that one. I believe the omens are still following me. Alright, let's go clean up this mess. Okay, this is a very dangerous situation we find ourselves in. But no big deal. We drop back and we let our flux drop off. Now it's important that you use the R key to target specific ships, because if I fired my sabos off right now, they would likely hit this little drone. Right, our monitor is doing just fine. We'll send our Heron that has the Piranha bombers after the phase ships. So Piranha bombers are really good after going against phase ships because unlike bombers and fighters are also good against phase ships, but unlike other bombers, the ordnance that the Piranhas drop just sits on top of a certain area. So it denies the phase ship from popping back into regular space, unless it wants to take high explosive damage. Here we have a couple of annoying claws. I'm gonna go ahead and target the Condor. If at all possible, you want to prioritize removing carriers from the battlefields first. Alright, we don't have anything to contribute to that Venture fight. The Venture is very tanky. We'll let our other ships handle that. The antimatter blasters are gonna tear right through the armor of the Venture. And we just issue a full assault order. Alright. Nice. Same thing. This isn't a merchant convoy, so we're not gonna pursue the rest of the fleet. Though we could stand to get a couple Colossus. And a couple Phaetons. I don't think it's really necessary. So we'll go ahead and let them go. And we're looking for the Fury, which we don't get. Okay, so unfortunate. but that's fine. We do get a Sabopod for our troubles. Alright, do we see a Fury floating in hyperspace? Nope, doesn't look like it. Alright, well anyway, we're gonna end the episode here. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. It's fun to be back. There were some technical difficulties today. If you're watching this in the future, then it doesn't matter. But glad to be producing videos again. They should again start coming out on our regular schedule. But other than that, Grumpy out.